Hi, it's me, April Spectrum. I told you last week I was going to talk about comorbidities as well as things you can do to help the people in your life who have autism. I don't have time to talk about all of the comorbidities, so I will be picking a few that are my, for lack of a better word, favorite. I find them most interesting. And then I'll just talk about some general things you can do to help people with autism, specifically more aimed towards children. So, some of my favorite comorbidities, back up a sec. What does that even mean? A comorbidity is just kind of basically a bad thing that comes with. So, not everyone with autism has these. Not everyone who has these has autism, but these are things that happen when you have autism sometimes. The ones I find most interesting are synesthesia, epilepsy, Tourette's, the odd empathy issues, and dyspraxia. I actually recently put a comic about dyspraxia up on my Imgur. I don't really know how to say it. I've only seen it written. Same name as here, April Spectrum. That's also my Twitter. Dyspraxia. First thing you're going to notice, it sounds a lot like dyslexia. It's kind of similar. With dyslexia, your brain gets confused when it comes to words and letters. With dyscalculia, your brain gets confused when it comes to math and numbers. With dyspraxia, your brain gets confused when it comes to making your body do the stuff you want to do. The analogy I used for my comic was the claw machines, you know, those ones where you're like, and you're trying to get it to like grab the teddy bear and it just won't do it. It's kind of like using that to control your body. You get people who end up being really clumsy. They drop things a lot. They trip over their own feet. Epilepsy and Tourette's, I'm going to talk about them together because they are really similar. With epilepsy, your brain sends some confused signals and your body just kind of has a seizure. With Tourette's, your brain sends confused signals to the language center and you just kind of have weird word things happen. TV and movies always show this as being people cussing a lot. That's almost never the case. Typically what happens is words that you've said a lot will just spew out randomly, and it's kind of weird. Another thing that's interesting is with autism, empathy oddities occur. Early scientists used to think that when you had autism, you were basically a sociopath with no empathy whatsoever. That's pretty inaccurate. While that can be the case some very rare times, more often people with autism have excessive empathy, or their empathy is misassigned. So a person might feel really bad when something happens, like a glass falls off the table and breaks, as if they've hurt the glass, which is an inanimate object. Last but not least, my personal favorite, synesthesia. So, synesthesia, like most of these, I'll keep using the tangled yarn analogy just because I really like it, tangled yarn type disorders, forms as the brain is developing, prenatal and also during infancy. So when a baby's born, they have like infinity of connections of neurons, and everything connects together like this giant spider web, and then as they get older, they go, okay, well that's useless, throw that away, useless, that I'll keep, useless. With synesthesia, things don't get thrown away that maybe should. So you'll get a kid who, when they eat something, the taste of raspberries makes them feel cold. Or when they hear music, they'll see a certain color. And any mixture of senses that you can think of, and sometimes more than one at a time, it's weird. It doesn't really do them any harm usually, but it's really weird and it can be distracting. I know people who spell words wrong on purpose because they don't like certain colors, things like that. It's weird. I find it fascinating. A really great book on the subject is called A Mango-Shaped Space. It's about a girl and her cat, and the girl, of course, has synesthesia. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. Look it up and check it out. Now, that's kind of the comorbidities I felt like talking about today. I can talk about other ones later on, but I do want to talk about things you can do to help people in your life who have autism. Main issues that I see a lot on autism forums that I visit and whatnot is people have trouble with stimulus they don't like and stimulus they do. Things like spicy foods. I can't handle spicy foods at all. I can't even drink grape Kool-Aid because it's too spicy for me. It isn't just being picky. Things like this are really important to be accommodating of. If your kid does not like certain textures of fabric, it may be that they're physically painful. I don't like wool. Wool hurts a lot. A lot of things that parents may feel like are a really big deal and they have to make their kid do, you really, really don't. And as long as they're getting the right nutrition, as long as they're covered in all the right areas, things like that, your kid's gonna be fine. You're not breaking any laws by not forcing them to eat a food they don't like. Just present them with foods, have them try a bite. If they don't like it, accommodate that, because when they grow up, that's what's gonna happen anyways. Every person with autism has different stims they use, and honestly, people without autism have stims too. You ever click a pen while you're thinking? You're stimming. Stims that people with autism do can be more disruptive or less socially appropriate, and that's where the coolest thing comes in. They're called fidgets. You can buy them online, certain stores even have them. They're sensory toys, basically, that you can mess with. Those little koosh animals make fantastic little sensory toys, things like that. Something like that for your kid can be a really great, appropriate stim that they can do that will help them avoid other ones. The last thing I really want to get into is dealing with police. You may or may not have heard about the Charles Kinsey incident. Brief summary will be a caretaker went outside to help his autistic patient, and the police shot him. Neither of them was out of compliance, neither of them was behaving threateningly, both of them were on the ground, so one was seated, one was laying down, hands visible. When he asked the cop, "Why did you shoot me?" the cop said, "I don't know." Now, after the fact, the cop is saying, "Oh, I was aiming for the autism guy and I missed and hit you." Probably not what happened. But either way, it's an important reminder that when someone in your life has autism, or if you are the person with autism, dealing with police can be scary, dangerous, and difficult. And it's important to teach your child things, but it's also important to talk to your local police. A lot of things that a person with autism does are not going to make sense to cops. Cops are trained to look for danger. They're trained to see weird and react scared. It's counterintuitive, but it is how it is. If I have a stim of, scratching under my arm, that can look like I'm reaching for a gun. If I have a stim of twisting my arm behind my back or messing with my hair or anything that I might do when I'm nervous, cops might interpret that as I'm reaching for a weapon. They might interpret that as I have a mental illness and therefore I'm scary because they watch too many horror movies. I don't know. But if you have a kid with autism, or if you are a person with autism, it's a good idea to go down to your local police station, talk to the police about it, let them know what they're likely to see from you, let them know what things help you, and basically tell them, please don't shoot me if I'm acting weird, for lack of a better way to say it. We don't want that to happen to kids. Talk to the police, be ahead of it. Don't be that parent who's stuck having to deal with the aftermath. It's kind of a sad note to end on. Next week, I may talk more about comorbidities, or I might actually talk about service dogs. It's something I'm pretty into since I have one. We'll just see. And if you have questions, of course, put them in the comments. I do read those, all one of them so far.